Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all the Ambazonians and all my viewers in this YouTube channel. I extend you greetings for being so strong and determined in the struggle. I greet the people on ground zero, all the Ambazonians on ground zero who are passing through difficult moments. I greet all the self-defense forces who are really out there to defend the fate of the land. I greet all those who are in refugee camps, Ambazonians who are in refugee camps, who are so determined that they will never come back till they hear that the Ambas land is free. That is when they will come back. I greet all those in prison who are still strong, who have the hopes that one day they will be out of that prison and see a free Ambazonia. I greet all my colleagues, activists who are following to inform the Ambazonians on the right direction. I greet all those who have contributed wholeheartedly to my trip to Boya and who are financing, the self-defense groups on ground zero. May God bless you people. This is Prince Ayamba, Mr. Hope. Mr. Hope has come again, to bring people certain issues that is going on in Ambazonia and some also going out of Ambazonia. In this line, I would like to bring out some points which I will discuss today. There are so many points and so many short videos that I will show you people. So many events that has already happened. I would like to, expatiate on them and try to educate the population on them, because education is the key of success, and education brings hopes. And Mr. Hopes is here for you people, for all those in ground zero, all those on the battlefield. Mr. Hopes is here for you people. Even though there are so many bad things that the Republic, government, and forces of occupation are causing to the Ambazonians on ground zero at presently, but I would like to tell the Ambazonians on ground zero and every Ambazonian all over the world that this is always the situation in every country that is struggling for its independence. Independence is never given free. It has its own ups and downs. Nelson Mandela says in his own word, freedom does not come easy. Yes, so today I would like to inform all my people on ground zero, all the Ambazonians on ground zero, those in the refugee camps, those in the prisons, those in the jungle cells of the Republic of Cameroon, those in the hiding in the bushes, those in the hospitals, those fighting, to protect neighborhood to neighborhood, forest to forest, household to household. May God bless all of you people. In every struggle, there are evil deeds which are always carried out But let us not lose hope, because these evil deeds will make us to have more strength to defend ourselves and to educate ourselves. At this type of thing when they happen, we have to take precautions now. So I will start straight away. Mr. Holmes has a lot to say today. A lot to say. So as you are listening and watching, share the video, forward the video, because there are so many things I have to discuss today. Please, ladies and gentlemen, forward the video. Share, click share, please. There are so many important things which have been already been discussed, but I have to throw some light on it, to educate the people. Most of these things brings hope to the people, and with hope, all of us will be in Boya within a short time. Okay, I would like to give you some of my topics for today. Okay, one of the topics which I will discuss on, after just giving you some of the alerts, things that the people should take precaution on ground zero, or things which are happening on ground zero, I would like to, make you listen to a certain declaration or petition which was forwarded to Donald Trump by the philanthropist Dr. David MAKONGO. Furthermore, I would like to put a video so that people can watch. Then we talk on it to show that there is hope that one day peace must come. Come sun, come shine. Come rain, come shine. Peace must come. Because in every revolution, at the end there's always peace. So I would like to inform you people and put a video so that people can see how the Human Rights Watch is addressing the situation and trying to call on international bodies as the United Nations Security Council and also the UN and also the AU to try to see what to do in order to bring peace in the crisis between the Ambazonia and the Republic of Cameroon. I would also like to tell you people a few stories how the procedure is going on in Lebialem. As Mr. Paul Tasong, the colonial minister, has ordered troops to hide in the bushes to ambush the red dragons of Lebialem, his own personal, indigenes. I will also tell you people, that we have now every day the enemies increase. Ambazonian enemies increase day in, day out. Of which I'll give some of the names of the enemies that increase day in, day out. Some of the countries who are becoming enemies to us. Also, we are going to talk, if there's enough time, we are going to talk on a letter addressed by one of the ministers of the colonial administration, the Republic of Cameroon, to Mr. John AKUROH. Yes, it's more time because there's a lot to discuss. We will have some easy topic also to say, just to give a few analysis on the Oroka people saying no to people like Elvis Ngole and Jume Franklin, who are trying to cause, Southwest Northwest divide. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as I say, or as I earlier said, share, forward the information. Press the share button so that this, informations that I'm going to present should go worldwide. Okay, let me start straight away without wasting your time. First of all, I'll start with some few reports, unconfirmed reports. Says some foreign lawyers who went to visit our president, His Excellency Sisiko Ayoktabe Julius, and his government, who were adopted in Nigeria in the Nara Hotel and extradited to Cameroon and were kept in Communicado for 7 months without their families or their lawyers having, sight of them. These lawyers were arrested. Some of these lawyers who went to visit our leaders in La République Sale were arrested in Yaoundé. That is an unconfirmed report. The people of Oroko, that is people of the Indian division, says no to any agent of division of the Southwest. We say no to any agent of La République. We say no to you who has collected blocked money to create division between the Northwest and the Southwest of Ambazonia. The people of Oroko village and people of Indian division in particular, in general, said no to Franklin Njume and Mr. Ikima, who are trying to create Northwest-Southwest division. That this will not happen. That these very people are the people that have enslaved them for long, helped the government to enslave them, the Republic to enslave them for long, because there is no development in their own areas as a result of these people. So they say no to these evil people who have taken monies from the Republic to Cameroon government to come and confuse the good people of Ambazonia, so as to inflict division between the Northwest and the southern zones of Ambazonia. But we said no, this cannot happen, because for 60 years we have never had any division. Since when we left, the House of Chiefs in Nigeria, we have never been divided, and we can never be divided. We will remain, united as it has been. We will never be divided. We, the people of Southern Zone and Northern Zone of Ambazonia, will never be divided. We are indivisible. Let Paul Biya know that he is planning for such things, but it will never happen. Because we are indivisible and will stand for our independence, freedom, total freedom. No matter the consequences, no matter what, we must have our freedom. Okay, that is the information from the Oroko people. Okay, Mr. Tasong, Paul Tasong, the colonial master, has sent the Republic troops to Lewo for Tabong to hide in the forest, to track down and kill all self-defense forces. That is, those self-defense forces who are there in the Biale subdivision. That is the Red Dragons, who were supposed to be doing a delivery on Wednesday, July the 18th, 2001. The Republic government has again cut off internet and telephone in the Libya Lem. Everywhere in the bushes, they allow Republic forces hiding to ambush the Red Dragons. Please, all the Ambazonians should look for ways to inform the Red Dragons of this. Forward this information that they are all in the bushes hiding. That the Republic government has sent to Paul Tasong, has ordered the Republic government to hide in the forest to ambush the Red Dragons, because now they don't have any access to phones, because every network has been blocked. I think if there's a possibility, we have to look for walkie-talkies for the fighters. That's my proposal. I think if there's a possibility, we should look for walkie-talkies for all the fighters in Ambazland who are fighting for self-defense for the state of Ambazonia. This is the work of the minister, Paul Tasong. This is the work of the minister, Paul Tasong, who had crafted a diabolic scheme to eradicate the Red Dragons. On Wednesday, the military with armored cars were sent to attack them at Lewo, suspecting that they would be coming around for a mission. After arriving Lewo, the military got into hidings in the bushes. On the road the Red Dragon have to use. This plan was totally unknown to the Red Dragon. This plan was totally unknown to the Red Dragons, because telephone lines and internet have been cut off. But unfortunately for the military, the Red Dragon had already planned to ambush those in Azi yesterday. While they let in the bushes waiting for the Red Dragons to come, the Red Dragons in turn ambush and already completely destroy those in Azi who were so relaxed and not expecting any battle. The battle was so tense. They called for backup from Menji. But as soon as the backup team left Menji, the dragons in the southern zone camp, who had taken cover around the area and who know very well that a backup team would definitely leave for Azi, ambushed those in Menji and killed 19 of them. This was serious. There was serious running in the Menji stadium. There was serious running in the Menji stadium. That is, the army were running seriously in the Menji stadium, where they were camped, because that was their camp. The armies were camped there in the Menji stadium. But when they were attacked, everybody was running helter-skelter for his life. It was later on the day, that is Tuesday. It was later today, that is Tuesday, that the dragons knew their diabolic plans against them. It was like in a film, but it is rare. It was real. This is all organized by Paul Tasong, the minister from Libya. He is a real Satan who is sent by his patron, Satan Phobia, to come and kill his own people. I hope any time from now, Paul Tasong should be arrested and his two hands cut off and one eye best, if not the two, and leave him to go and visit Phobia. That is what happened in Libya. They were taken away. Paul Tasong sent his people to go and hide in the bush, send the armies of the Republic to go and hide in the bush to ambush the red dragons. But the red dragon took them away, even though internet has been cut off, even though no telephone, but the will of God made them to understand that something will happen. And it did danger for the Republic occupational armies. Okay, I continue, Mr. Hopes continue, because in this struggle, as I told you, hopes, we have to put hopes in front, even though we have a lot of ups and downs. Even though we have a lot of ups and downs in the struggle, but we have to put hopes in front. If not so, we'll not reach Boya. But I'm sure we'll reach Boya, because you know the ground forces are giving me a lot of hopes. The ground forces are giving me a lot of hopes. Okay. Okay, let me continue. Ambazonians. We must be in Boya within a short time. We must be in Boya within a short time. So, I would like for a short time to put you one of the videos that is helping to bring us hopes, and you will listen carefully. After, I will make some analysis on the video. Yeah, after I will make some analysis on the video. This is the Human Rights Watch. The Human Rights Watch that I'm going to put you listening to what the Human Rights Watch they themselves are saying about the struggle. Let me see if I can put you the Human Rights Watch so that you can see what they are saying about the struggle. This brings us hopes to show that the world is being alert also.
Good afternoon. We're live from the United Nations. I want to begin. I'm Akshaya Kumar, Deputy United Nations Director at Human Rights Watch, by thanking the UN Correspondents Association for once again hosting us to launch our latest Human Rights Watch research here from UN headquarters in New York. It's my pleasure to be accompanied by our emergencies researcher, Jonathan Pedno, and our Executive Director of the Africa Division, Mausi Shegun, who will be speaking to our findings related to the worrying situation in Cameroon's Anglophone regions. Without any further ado, especially because we've been delayed by half an hour, thank you for tuning in, and thank you to those who are watching on Facebook Live. I'd like to turn it over to Mausi to set the context and set the stage for the event.
Thanks, Akshay, and thank you everyone for joining us this afternoon. As many of you in the room know, that since late 2016, we have seen the Republic of Cameroon, a hitherto oasis of stability and peace in the Central Africa region that has been bedeviled by civil wars in neighboring countries like Chad, in Central African Republic, and the Congos, suddenly begin to degenerate into a crisis of its own. What initially started as civil protests, largely peaceful, by lawyers, teachers, students, in this multicultural country. The protests were about the perception of marginalization and discrimination by the authorities in Yaoundé. Unfortunately, these protests and demonstrations, which are protected rights under international law, they were met by a very heavy-handed response by the Cameroonian authorities. This fueled the anger of local people in Cameroon's northwest and southwest regions. And soon, there began an agitation for the region's independence. I mean, this is a pattern that we have seen almost everywhere else. In our work in Africa, across the world, where we document over and over every time that government employs violence in response to civil action, it inevitably invites corresponding violence on the part of non-state actors. This is why we're here today. In less than 2 years, that situation has degenerated. And we, Human Rights Watch, watching how the situation was escalating, decided to send in our researchers to travel into Cameroon and document first-hand accounts from the victims and witnesses and others that have been affected by the violence. In April, Jonathan, my colleague here, and another colleague who is not here, our Children's Rights Deputy Director, Children's Rights Division Deputy Director, they were in the Southwest and the Northwest region, traveling from village to village, talking to people, families of people who have been killed, tortured, students, teachers whose schools have been burned or properties destroyed. Across this region, hundreds of people affected in many parts of this region. But like I said earlier, the perpetrators are not just government agents. Those who have been involved in the pressure for independence have also been, unfortunately, credibly implicated in abuses themselves, including intimidation, threats, and other abuses, including killings and the burning of schools and other properties, extortion as well, setting up roadblocks. Once we were done from the field, we realized that as bad as the situation that we documented was, that there was still room to stop this from escalating further. And so we reached out to Cameroonian authorities and to other partners across the world, including the UN. And I have to say that we were gratified by the openness of the Cameroonian authorities to engage with us. We have received both informal and formal responses to our queries and requests for further information. We have seen some progress. For example, the 47 separatist leaders who were arrested, some of them from Nigeria and from elsewhere, who had been held in Incommunicado in Cameroonian prisons, were allowed visits by family members and their lawyers for the first time. We believe that there is room for negotiation. We believe that there is room for dialogue. And we want to use this report to open the eyes of the world to what is going on in Cameroon, and hopefully to get the buy-in of the Cameroonian authorities and the separatists to give peace and dialogue a chance. Jonathan has more details to share with you about his findings on the ground, a lot of which we corroborated with the use of technology, using satellite imagery analysis and the verification of videos and photographs and other materials that he got from Cameroon. We'll start with a video and then Jonathan will speak to it.
Yeah, this is just a recent happening 2 days ago in the United States of America. Station in the United,
There's a crisis unfolding right now in the western regions of Cameroon.
It was on the 1st of October when Jandan just came in, started beating us, destroying things in the house, and gave me this mark on the hand. Since then I feel terrible. I hate to see any Jandan, anybody in uniform.
These are regions that are known traditionally to be Anglophone regions in a bilingual country, a country that speaks both French and English, in which the majority is Francophone, French-speaking. In 2016, Anglophone teachers, lawyers went down into the streets to protest government decisions, to ask for more Anglophone teachers and lawyers to be deployed to their areas. These demonstrations were met with a very heavy-handed response from the government. People were picked up in the streets, beaten up. The government used live ammunition against protesters. All of that contributed to a hardening of the situation and the positions of the leaders of the Anglophone community, who went on to eventually create a number of armed factions asking and fighting for independence. Since 2017, they have started to attack government facilities, government officials, and have also been attacking schools, preventing children from going to their classes. We have had cases of security forces being beheaded, being killed in atrocious manners. All of this in order to make it difficult for the government to hold control over this area.
The driver of the car and the driver from Wabani.
And the government has deployed security forces in order to quell what they see as an existential crisis, using extremely problematic and illegal tactics.
Just look at what is happening in Kwakwa. People are dying. All houses have been burnt down. Look at human beings. Oh Lord, please.
We have been able to verify the assertions of the people that we spoke to through our satellite work, and we were able to identify at least 20 villages that had been burned by security forces. We've seen villages in which over 700 structures had been destroyed by arson. We have over 150,000 people who have been displaced from their homes. Clearly, in the case of Cameroon, we have a situation that has been going from worse to worse to worse. And it's important that the international community not only takes note of what is happening, but also pressures the government of Cameroon, as well as these separatist groups, to stop attacking civilians.
Thank you. I'm happy to turn it over to Jonathan to launch our latest report. For those who are just joining us, this report is "These Killings Can Be Stopped: Government and Separatist Abuses in Cameroon's Anglophone Regions." And Jonathan, our emergencies researcher, has recently returned from Cameroon himself, where he's made a research mission and also an advocacy mission. Jonathan, thank you.
If there is one place where I did not expect to be documenting the type of violence that we are here to talk about today, it's probably Cameroon. For most of my career thus far, Cameroon has been, as Mauzi was saying, an island of stability in a sea of otherwise very troubled countries, places where lots of abuses have been taking place. And therefore, it was very much a surprise for us when we went finally to Cameroon to verify the assertions that that had been communicated to us by several people, by several sources. It was very much of a surprise for us to discover how bad the situation truly was. I spent 3 weeks in the western, in the southwest and northwest regions of Cameroon. This was a difficult mission for us to accomplish. People were extremely afraid. People were not forthcoming at all, which is not necessarily quite usual with crisis situations. Those are situations in which usually people are very much forthcoming, really much want to tell their stories, whereas in Cameroon right now, the people we met were thoroughly afraid. It was very difficult research for us to accomplish. Nonetheless, over these 3 weeks, we managed to meet with over 80 people. And these 80 people painted a picture of a situation that has indeed been going from worse to worse to worse. And the reason for that, as Mauzi was saying, is in large parts because we have been faced now in the context of Cameroon with two parties, with two sets of ideas that do not want to talk, that do not want to negotiate in good faith, and have been using, therefore, violence to resolve these issues. Therefore, squeezing in between a vulnerable population, a population that has never really been acquainted with armed violence in the past, a population that is extremely vulnerable to violence, but also very much traumatized by the amount of violations that have been taking place now, especially since late 2017. Without going back into the historical details of this situation, this is something that I'm open, obviously, to discuss about later on. I'd like to share perhaps with you a few of the stories that we've heard. And it's important to stress that the people that we met, they're single mothers living at home, they're teachers, professors, they're students. They're not activists. They're not, civil society leaders. They're not the kind of people who are out there with an agenda. They're the kind of people who are out there because they don't have a house anymore, because they've been forced out of their communities, because their houses have been burnt. And they came to us to tell us not only about abuses committed by government forces, government security forces, but also by members of their own communities who have chosen to take up weapons and have not only been attacking government forces, but also civilians using extremely problematic tactics. Just an example of that. I mean, for the last 2 years now, you have tens of thousands of children who have been unable to get to school. What is the reason for that? The reason for that is that you have armed people and very extremely minded people who have decided to prevent schools from resuming in the region. The goal for that is to make the region ungovernable. They've been attacking francophone schools, bilingual schools, anglophone schools, religious schools, state schools, name them. There's at least 58 schools that have been attacked thus far. And that's according to UNICEF. We ourselves documented at least 12 attacks on these schools. And the general pattern is, people, children, teachers would go to school in the morning and then they would find a part of the buildings destroyed because, arson had been committed. We've also spoken to principals and teachers who told us that they had been receiving written threats, leaflets left in the schoolyard in front of their homes saying, if the school resumes, we might attack your school. If the school resume, do you really want us to come and burn it? We've had examples on social media. We've seen some of those leaflets, some of those threats. Those are absolutely non-permissible actions by any group whatsoever. Children should always be allowed to go to school. Now you have at least 32, perhaps up to 40,000 children in both regions who have been out of school for 2 years. And despite the government's attempts at maintaining the exams, for instance, this year we've still seen threats of violence by armed separatists against children, against their relatives. To give you another example of the kind of violence that has been exerted by these groups, and that is an extremely worrying trend for us. We met with francophone Cameroonians who live in those areas in the southwest, people from an ethnic group called the Bamileke, who are very much present in both regions. And they explained to me how they had been singled out within their own community by some of these groups, some of these more extreme factions, taken to the bases, beaten up, asked for money. They were accused of supporting the government, and eventually they had to flee. They had to flee because life was made unbearable by the presence of these armed groups operating in those areas. Those are armed groups that have also been extorting money out of people, that have been kidnapping civilians, that have been kidnapping state workers. So this is obviously not only a security threat, obviously, for the government of Cameroon, but also increasingly a threat.
I will stop the video and still continue. But let me first of all, throw some light on what the Human Rights Watch is saying. The Human Rights Watch is saying that the self-defense forces are attacking civilians, of which this is a lie. I want to tell the Human Rights Watch that the government has employed people who are dressed like the self-defense forces, and they are the people attacking the civilians. These people arrest people and take monies. Atanganji form his own groups. Many others, like the elites, they are forming their own groups, which are going around harassing the citizens in the name of the self-defense. So Human Rights Amnesty International should take note. No person has attacked the Bamle case. We have been with the Bamle case for 60 years, close to 60 years or more. We have never attacked the Bamle case. The people who are attacking the Bamilekes are those who have been sent by the Republic of Cameroon government, the allies who have been paid monies. Those are the people who are attacking the citizens, demanding money from them, arresting them. You know, it's not the self-defense people. The self-defense group of Ambazonia is instead protecting the citizens. It's instead helping to give food and, you know, gifts to the citizens. So you, the human rights watch, should take note. So all those what we are saying is false allegations. It is a created group by people like Atanganji Paul. You know, after this I will put the video which the minister himself wrote a letter to AKUROH, Mr. AKUROH John, explaining everything so that the Human Rights Amnesty International should understand. The minister of the Republic, under Paul Biya himself, writes and explains that they are the forming those groups. After this, I will put it so that the Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch, who are now speaking in this video that is going on, should understand. I continue.
For civilians living in those areas. Now the problem, and that's really the problem, because ultimately in a situation such as this one, the government of Cameroon still has the primary responsibility for protecting civilians. We are talking not about the non-international armed conflict at the moment, because we are not clear on how present, on how big these forces actually are. And that requires a normal, an even higher threshold of precautions by the government of Cameroon when responding to this crisis. This is something that we explained to the government when we met with them. Now the problem, what we've been seeing, is in fact quite the opposite. We've been seeing security forces, more and more so since December, January of this year, going to various villages, often in retaliation for attacks by groups of armed separatists against convoys or against small gendarme or police or army bases. We've seen these convoys of security forces driving to a village. People described to me how they saw early in the morning the trucks, carrying soldiers, parking in the middle of the village, and then starting to shoot. Obviously, the typical reaction to that is to flee. And so many people that I met, described to me how they took their children, they took whatever they had at hand, fled to the forest, and a few hours later, hearing gunshots, hearing cries, they saw smoke rising above the canopy. And when they returned to their village hours later, what they found was destroyed neighborhoods, destroyed homes, destroyed livelihoods, and in some cases, we documented at least 4 of those cases, relatives who had been burnt alive in those fires. We documented 4 cases of older women who were unable to flee when these security forces came to the village and set fire to the homes and burnt alive in horrible circumstances. The son of one of these women, whom I met in the southwest, told me how he was on his way back to his village the day that the attack took place in February. He was stopped at a checkpoint by the army at the bridge. He was about to cross to go back home. He clearly understood that something was not right. He was hearing gunshots, seeing smoke above the village, and when the next day was finally allowed to go into the village to proceed on the road, he got home, or to whatever was left of his home, found ashes, and only found the head and the intestines of his mother. And this was extremely traumatizing for him, for other people in the village. This is one example of the kind of violence that we've been documented. We also spoke to this other woman, for instance, a teacher, single mother with 3 kids, 2 kids, 3 kids, who you know, had been saving money for 10 years to build her own home in the Northwest. She built the home. She was very well seen by the people in the village because she was the one person who succeeded, you know, going abroad to Yaoundé, to Douala to make out a living. And so she was living with her parents. One day she goes out to the field. She hears, you know, people shouting at her, telling her to come back. The house is on fire. Why is the house on fire? Because security forces had just come to arrest her parents, her elderly parents. Security forces basically came that day to arrest both her mother and her father because they were looking out for her nephew. This is called proxy detention, and this is illegal. You cannot arrest members of the family in order to get to someone else. Nonetheless, security forces did that, brought the parents over to the main town, to the station, and then the daughter, the person who owned the house, had to go to the gendarme station and was asked to pay a bribe in order to release her parents. Not only had she lost her house, had her elderly parents arrested, and then she was also asked for money, a sensible sum of money in order to release her parents. So those are examples of the kind of violence that is now creeping in the region in Cameroon. Again, this is a country that was known for its stability, a multicultural, bilingual country, one that was key and remains key for security in the region. And yet we're seeing it tick all of the boxes that we usually see before we enter a protracted phase, the protracted phase of a conflict, the time when diplomats and journalists say,
Okay, I stop it for a while and give some comments before continue. I would like also to inform, you know, the Human Rights Watch that when they are carrying out their research, they should go to carry out important issues that are taking place, like the Menka incidents, where about 40 young Ambazonians were massacred in cold blood. But the Human Rights Watch is saying nothing about this. It's saying nothing about the genocide, those really things that are taking place. Which La Republic is causing. I would like people to always talk about the second issue, that there's the genocide going on. And this genocide is being carried out by the Republic of Cameroon. So the human rights should take note. When you are talking, bring out your, your research reports, talk about the second things. Genocide is going on. Tell the world genocide is going on, caused by the Republic of Cameroon. Please. This is not blind. It is all over the world, all over in the media. Genocide, they saw the genocide in Menka and other genocide everywhere going on. So I continue.
oh, this is terrible. This is a terrible situation. Why did we not do something beforehand? So now we still have a little bit of a window. The government of Cameroon has been very engaging in its response to our findings. We were able to go to Yaoundé. We met with 8 senior government officials, including one of the top advisors of the presidency. We had very long meetings with them in which we were exchanging very frankly about how we saw the situation, about the findings that we gathered. And the government pledged to conduct a number of investigations. We have received in this report a written response from the government of Cameroon in which it details 3 of such cases. But in general, the response of the government has been to tell us, well, you have some rotten apples here and there. Soldiers are traumatized or deployed away from their families. They get attacked by these people moving in the forest, in the villages. So sometimes you may have 1 or 2 people doing something they shouldn't be doing. The reality is that now we have 20 villages that we've been able to identify as showing signs of destruction consistent with arson. When I say consistent with arson, it's because we can clearly see that the structures are burnt in one place and then the fire jumps, past the trees, past obstacles to another house nearby, but still it doesn't burn the tree, meaning that, it's not just a case of a house being burnt and then the wind carrying it around. There's clearly someone transferring the fire. And this is very much consistent with the testimonies that we gathered in the field. And so we've been asking the government of Cameroon now, not only to, tell people like us, tell people like Human Rights Watch, a foreign organization, what they've been doing to deal with the situation. We've been urging them to communicate that openly and transparently to their population. It's one thing to try and preserve the morale of the forces fighting in those areas. It's another to try and preserve the morale of the population that is currently facing the bulk of these actions, that is currently paying the price for these illegal tactics being carried out. The government has to come clean. The government has to engage much more forcefully and carry out accountability, provide accountability for the crimes that have been committed in those areas. I'll leave it here, and
thank you for those remarks, Jonathan, and for so vividly and viscerally describing some of the research that you've done, but also the conclusions we were able to draw by using satellite imagery and analyzing videos. Before I open it up to questions from the press corps who are assembled here, I wanted to make one point, which I think comes quite clearly from what both Jonathan and Mosi have said, which is, as the title of this report says, these killings can be stopped. We at Human Rights Watch believe that this is a case for prevention, and here at the United Nations we often hear talk of prevention, but very little action on a situation like Cameroon. And so Human Rights Watch is recommending that the UN Security Council request a briefing by the Secretary General on the situation in Cameroon, demand an end to these human rights violations, and make clear that further abuse will lead to targeted sanctions, including against the individuals who are credibly implicated in these serious violations. We also flag that the Human Rights Upfront agenda, which was launched by Ban Ki-moon but has been endorsed by Secretary General Guterres, requires looking at situations like Cameroon, including at the country team level, to prioritize human rights protection in the Anglophone crisis response. So we're looking for the resident coordinator of the United Nations to take this on and publicly address these issues, including by sharing information through the UN system so that the Secretary General is able to raise the situation in Cameroon with the Security Council as a situation that we believe threatens international peace and security. So at this point, I'd like to open up the forum and the floor to questions. We'll begin with Michelle with Reuters. Thank you.
Hi, Michelle Nichols from Reuters. Just following on from what you just said, Akshaya, what has been the response from Security Council members when you've suggested that they have a briefing on this? Are you finding that they're receptive?
We're still engaging with Security Council members. I think we hear a lot of lip service at the UN to the idea of protection, but some wariness to adding another situation, particularly another African situation, to a very crowded agenda. As Jonathan said, many believe that Cameroon is an island of stability within a very difficult region. But I think what this report's findings show is that that stability is at risk and that many people are already facing a significant threat. So it's our assessment that that will need to change. Security Council members need to be mobilized to action, and they need to find a place to squeeze this on what is admittedly a very busy schedule that they already have.
Okay, I stop for the moment. I stop for the moment and analyze a bit. You know, the human rights are saying they are forwarding things to the Security Council to take a decision on what to do. Please, it has been long that we'll be waiting for the Security Council. The Security Council will never come. Will never come to say anything because France, Britain, and China are supporting the dictator, President Paul Biya, who is causing genocide in the Republic. So the self-defense forces and Ambazonians should never wait that the Security Council will come. It will take a long time. So we should try our personal best to defend our country ourselves. We should never listen to this, human rights amnesty who are saying the Security Council will come and they will send this to the Security Council. It has been more than a year. The Security Council has not said anything. AU has not said anything. No action has been seen from the EC, from the EU. We should fight and defend ourselves. We should defend ourselves and drive out the dictators out of our country, colonial masters out of our country. We should not wait for the Security Council, because these people have veto powers. British have veto power, France have veto power, China have veto power, and they are interested in our oil, our petrol, our resources, timber, gold. They will never come. They will never come. They will vote against anything that want to the United Nations want to, Security Council want to take decision. They will vote against, because they have powers, veto powers. So we have to fight ourselves and defend our land. I continue.
Sherwin?
Yeah, just Sherwin Briceby, South African Broadcasting. Have you engaged with the African Union? I know, based in New York, you tend to lean on the Security Council more, but isn't this a matter that should start in the sub-regional organization?
Yeah. I'll turn it over to our Executive Director for Africa, Malsi.
It is. Indeed, we have it as part of our advocacy plan. As you know, the report is just being released today. We have specific recommendations to the Africa Union and to other regional partners, and those who can influence Cameroon. But we believe strongly that with the indication and the body language from the Cameroonian authorities, there is an interest in acting on some of the recommendations targeted directly at the government. We will engage with the AU and other regional mechanisms to strengthen and support Cameroon in doing the right thing, and engaging perhaps I think the critical thing we need now is a moderating voice, someone to mediate between the separatists and the government, and we think very strongly that the AU and individuals within the continent might be able to play that role.
Thank you, Malsi. I'll also add that on page 8 of the report, you'll find recommendations that we direct to the African Union, and these touch not just on pressuring the government, but also addressing the actions of the armed separatists, especially to end all attacks on civilians, including facilitating the immediate resumption of schools. And as you heard from Jonathan, thousands of children have been out of school because of these attacks, which have affected all types of schools, Anglophone and Francophone. Any other questions? Evelyn, please.
I will stop again and give some analysis on what she has just said. She is saying that people should go to school, but I will say no school, because the military people, they go to the schools and the universities and take out the university students and kill them. Of recent, it happened in Bamenda, in Bambili, in Begui, killing students, killing even killing those who have just finished their exam. They are in the nightclub. They went and took them from the nightclub and killed them. So we cannot be sending as students to school, and they go there, then the armies go behind and kill them. And at times they will kill them, I even say it's separatists. And they will even dress them to look like, the self-defense forces. So we cancel the idea. We will never send our children to school to have independence. We will stop them from going to school till they have independence. Because if we send them to school, the military will come to school and kill them. I continue.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. What is the resident coordinator doing, if anything? And the moderating voice, you expect that to come from the AU or from Cameroon itself?
So I'll take this.
Yeah.
Yeah. In terms of the UN's response on the ground, I think it's been quite severe. In fact, severely limited at the moment, in parts because the government of Cameroon has been not so welcoming of foreign monitoring or external monitoring, especially in this situation. I think this is a situation that they very much see as internal. Although they have provided access to some UN agencies to conduct assessments, those have been severely limited in parts because of the security situation. There was one attempt by a UN agency, by a cohort of UN agencies to go to the southwest and northwest. They did conduct some work, but were asked eventually to leave the area by the governors. So this is something that is troubling. We followed up on this in our meetings with the government. The government has also not been very forthcoming in allowing the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights to get access to the region. The Commissioner Zaid has asked the government twice for access. Twice it's been denied. In conversations I've had with government officials, I've been told that this issue was under study and that they would soon respond. We're obviously urging the government to do that because by allowing external actors, they will be able to themselves get a better view of what is happening, including in areas that they now can potentially not really access. In terms of, and I'm sorry, I forgot your second question.
Mediation.
Yes, in terms of mediation, I think we're at the junction now where the actions of the government, and specifically the arrest of the 47, the earlier arrests of other leaders have left a lot of political space for the more radical voices to take hold in the Anglophone community. Now we have Anglophone leaders who, by and large, are extreme in their comments, in their stances, in their narratives. They want independence, and that makes it very difficult, obviously, to enter into mediation if, on the other hand, the government is not ready to discuss those issues. So clearly there is a need for de-escalation. There is a need for the more moderate leaders of the Anglophone community to take more space in the political sphere, but then you also need a third party that can be trusted. I know that there have been several actors that have been floated, including the church, for instance. So those are obviously up for the two parties or the several parties to decide, not for us. But it's clear that international actors should propose their services should the government of Cameroon be open to the idea, and leaders in the Anglophone community also allow for that to happen.
Yes.
I will still analyze a bit. You have heard. They are saying that the government of La République de Cameroon, under President Paul Biya, the dictator, is afraid to call for any sort of negotiation because he knows it will surely lead to independence, and he does not want to hear anything concerning that. So you should take note, because they are asking that it would be nice to have foreign mediators to come to meditate for the negotiations. But La République is only out to kill. They feel that with killing of the Ambazonians, occupation, you have to occupy the land again with force. But we will say no, because we are God-choosing people. We are there to fight for our independence, and the independence we must fight for it. We should not wait again for the United Nations or any people or Security Council. No, it's a lie. We have to fight, please. We'll fight, and we should contribute and send more monies, buy more weapons, sophisticated weapons. We'll fight and drive out the Republic out of the country. That is what we have to do, because Paul Biya will never call for negotiations, because he knows if he calls for negotiations, it will only lead to a total independence. So we must stand up again stronger and stronger and fight for a total independence. I continue.
Please go ahead.
Thank you. Siapak from Sky News. My question is a bit general. Do you think the human rights from 20 years ago up to now losing to extremism?
I'm trying to understand the question, whether we're losing to extremism, whether we're...
It's human rights, it's the curve of human rights going down and the extremism is coming up.
I mean, I wouldn't say so exactly. Certainly there is a lot more in terms of challenges to human rights values and human rights norms. And extremism, whether it be religious or political or, whatever, form it might take, create a challenge for a human rights response. And you find almost all the time governments resorting to security measures for dealing and which compromise human rights standards and laws as a way of responding to extremism. But I wouldn't say that extremism is taking its place or the place of human rights, I think that without a doubt, the norms have been established. Whether people want to violate them and whether we as the international community want to ensure that there are consequences for these violations, those are different things. So it is the way that we are working human rights that is in challenge. The norms, as a matter of fact, I think almost on a daily basis, you have new resolutions, you have new laws coming into play, responding to situations on ground. But it is the implementation, as always, that has been a challenge, and how we hold people accountable for violations of these norms.
And if I may just continue on this note, this is a perfect case to show that the norms actually can be applied. We have an emerging situation, an emerging conflict. If we want to talk about prevention, if we want to talk about upholding the norms, if we want to set an example for how the UN system and other multilateral systems can actually function, and when we have a government that's also ready to engage on this question, as the government of Cameroon has been doing with us, I think we have here the perfect recipe for a story that could eventually get better and not worse. But action needs to take place now, and not 12 months from now when it lands on the Security Council.
Action needs to take place now, not 12 months.
A grave situation of emerging atrocities.
I think I'll just add one thought to that, which is that as a human rights organization, we're always keen to emphasize that extremism or extremist views in and of themselves are part of any individual's right, actually, to express themselves. Problems come when these actions become violent, when you have violent extremism or abusive extremism. And what we're seeing in Cameroon, what's been documented by my colleagues, is instances where separatists have taken actions which then violate the rights. And so it's really about when these two principles come into tension with one another that we have a situation that's a problem.
Just say something more on that. Because I think you are not doing much about human rights, so is that enforcing it as you should be?
Well, we are constantly pushing the United Nations to do more to stand up for the victims of human rights abuses and to hold itself to the highest standards. And in this report, one recommendation which we make, which I think is quite an important one because Cameroon provides troops to so many peacekeeping missions, is that the UN conduct its own proper screening of all Cameroonian security forces who are meant to join UN peacekeeping operations. And this is one way to exclude any individual or unit who is suspected of human rights violations, including in the context of these operations in the Anglophone region, from joining the UN forces. This is a way for the UN to use its power, its leverage, and also to hold its own self accountable, to not be enabling or bringing on abusers and giving them a role of being a peacemaker in another country when they're an abuser at home. Are there any other questions?
Okay, I'll analyze on what they have just said.
Any journalists with any questions?
Excuse me.
Why?
Excuse me.
I think this is a situation.
I will analyze on what they have just said. They are saying that Cameroon occupational forces are carrying out human rights abuses, and these forces are always part of the United Nations peacekeeping forces. So, but at times they used to be scrutinized before going there. So, but in this case now, perhaps they will never accept them to come as peacekeeping forces because they have seen the human rights abuses that they are carrying out on the field in Ambazonia, and also those that they are carrying out in the north, where a woman and his baby, two women and their babies and their daughter was shot in open daylight. So they are seeing all these human rights violations by the Republic forces, and they're saying that perhaps the United Nations will never accept again the Republic forces to come to come and join the United Nations peacekeeping forces. That is what they were just trying to say. We continue.
That is happening because we have at the moment two parties, two groups two views of the world that do not coincide and do not want to actually talk with an open mind. We have had, again, demonstrations, peaceful demonstrations in 2016 and in 2017 that were repressed. And they were repressed violently by government security forces. And that has pushed people to take harder measures to combat what they see as a status quo that doesn't work for them. Now, every time the government attacks civilians and does not follow up, sorry, let me rephrase that, every time government security forces attack civilians and does not follow up by providing proper transparent accountability, you are creating a new soldier in this war. And I've met so many people on the ground who told me, if I had a gun, tomorrow I would be out in the bush. And that is extremely worrying to hear. So, I think what is missing out here is transparency and open-mindedness. Bearing both of these factors, but bearing both, I think we'll have a crisis that will continue to get worse. I'm sorry?
We don't want to get there.
Nobody wants to get there.
We don't want to get there. And I think that, like Jonathan said, the question is about providing a platform for addressing grievance. There is grievance. People are aggrieved. It started very mildly. As you would find, when you read the report about the historical factors that led to this, there were peaceful protests at the beginning, and that could have led to some concrete resolutions on both sides. If I think that the government going in to shoot into the crowds, to arrest people, to kill protesters, to shut down the internet. It was introducing violence into what could have been a dialogue. And that's why we're here today, and we can stop it. That's the title of the report. These killings, this violence can be stopped.
Right. Thank you. I don't see any further questions for the panel. So I'd like to acknowledge a gentleman from the delegation of Cameroon to take the floor.
There's the microphone.
No? Okay, sorry.
Okay.
That's sorry, my apologies. I'm Sherman Bryce-Lees. I'm the president of the UN Correspondents Association. This is a press conference open to the media. Now, I understand that there are some things that you want to put on the table, but that hasn't been cleared with our committee. This is a press conference open to journalists. We let you come and sit here as a courtesy to the Cameroonian delegation, but this is a press conference open to the media. And if there are additions that you would like to make, you should do that in a process where you consult with my office first before. This is a Human Rights Watch briefing. So we have house rules. Generally at UN, diplomats not allowed in the press briefing rooms to begin with. But as a courtesy to you, we thought we'd let you come in here, but we do not want to give you the floor here without you consulting us first. Because I see you have a report in your hand there that you want to counter-report. It hasn't been cleared with our committee that approves these press conferences. So with the utmost of respect, I'm going to decline you the floor because this is a press conference open to only journalists. So please talk to us afterwards. The journalists are here. The Cameroonian delegation is here. You're welcome to speak to them outside. And if you want to have a briefing here, come and speak to us and we can certainly make that happen. Okay?
Thank you very much. You heard? Cameroon delegation who went there just to listen. They brought their own commission, their own inquiry that they want to come and, but they blocked them because they wanted to come and confuse the whole thing. They blocked them. The man told them, no, you people cannot say that here because that is how they are. They come so that they can come and cause confusion there. They blocked them at once and just told them, no, please, you cannot bring that here. Here we are out for journalists. We are not out for people who come to listen. You come, you want to talk. No, there's a procedure they follow. You just don't have to come. You can talk outside with the journalists. You cannot talk inside here. They were blocked. That is a good gesture. Because they wanted to come and confuse the commission again. Tell lies. So thank you very much. And this was a commission with a human rights, watch that just took place 2 days ago in the United States. Thank you for listening to it. Let's continue with other things. Okay. Okay, as I was telling you people, Mr. Hopes said he has to be bringing up things that will give hopes to the people. I know that hopes always go with at times some, sadness also. Because sadness will come, hopes will come. Lots of hopes will come, hopes will come. But I am always there to inform you things that will bring hope. So once in a while, I also tell you things that the Republic is doing to discourage the Ambazonians. This is one of the worst things the Republic has done in the past few days, 2 days and yesterday. La Republic, the Cameroon, has killed some important people in Ambazonia and even some foreigners. This is in the northwest or the northern zone and the southern zones of Ambazonia. Pastor Isaac the Republic government under the dictator has turned the genocide towards the people of God. The Republic government has turned the genocide towards the people of God. Since they know God is strongly behind Ambazonia's independence, now they are killing God people. Pastor Isaac was killed, shot by forces of the Republic in Batibo, accompanied with his one of his followers in the congregation. They were killed by the Republic forces on Saturday, and he was buried on Tuesday. You can see that the Republic is turning her, they are killing her, genocide is going towards the people of God. He killed the government, Bia's government, mount pressure on the local civilians and religious authority to bury and cancel the evidence of the death of Pastor Isaac Atto, who was a Ghanaian, a foreigner, a Ghanaian, shot down, Ghanaian pastor, Reverend pastor, shot down in Batibo by the Republic armies of occupation. The burial took place in Batibo Tuesday 17, 2018 in the presence of the mayor of Batibo and some church ministers who volunteered to see the clergyman laid to rest. The pastor was beside him, one of the Christians followers, who was also killed. The reaction of the family members who were making arrangement for the corpse to be repatriated was unknown. It should be noted that the Republic is largely, targeting foreign nationalists and people of God for now. The family is making arrangement to take the Republic government to court for killing the Reverend Pastor Isaac Atto. I will just put the video so that you can see, you hear the latest as is the announcement of his burial.
Young missionary to Cameroon, Reverend Pastor Isaac Ato, killed in Batibo last Saturday by the French Cameroon soldiers, has been buried. The burial took place in Batibo Tuesday, July 17, 2018. His remains were laid to rest by the mayor of Batibo Council in the presence of some church ministers who volunteered to see one of theirs laid to rest. Council officials said the state of the corpses only needed burial. The pastor was buried same day like one of his slain Christians. The reaction of the family members who were making arrangements for the corpse to be repatriated remains unknown at the time of filing this report. Sources also said the local council was under pressure for the corpse to be buried same day. Media reports had insinuated that Pastor Ato's family are due to drag the French Cameroon government to court for killing the Ghanaian missionary who leaves behind a 2-month-old baby, wife and family to mourn him. Late Reverend Pastor Isaac Ato of Destiny Impact Ministries left Ghana for Cameroon for an evangelical mission, but was unfortunate to have got into Batibo when the French Cameroon soldiers were carrying raids across the town in search of the pro-independence self-defense forces. According to eyewitnesses, the military opened fire indiscriminately. This may have been the situation which led to the brutal shooting of the Ghanaian cleric and his companion, whose bodies were only discovered early next day, Sunday, July 15. The killing of the Ghanaian national has raised questions as to whether the French Cameroon government was now involved in the targeted killing of foreign nationals. George Dando, SC.
Okay, from the killing of the Reverend Pastor, the Republic government moves now to a killing of a businessman in Boya, a renowned businessman known as Miss Bright Inn, which was the name of his, hotel. But he was called Felix Tanto Ngang, Ongang, Felix Tanto Ngang, a prosperous businessman, has been killed by La Republique du Cameroon for refusing to contribute for the humanitarian aid that the government of Paul Biya launched, of which this aid was not to help the citizens who are displaced, but it was to be used to fight the war against the Ambazonians. So he refused. When he was summoned to Yaoundé, he refused that he can never give any money for the aid. But sources also claim the death is yet unconfirmed, and others feel that he was killed because he is supporting the freedom fighters in Ambazonian. And others have seen it as a plan for La Republique du Cameroon under President Paul Biya, the dictator, to confuse the population of the northern zone and the southern zones so that they can be fighting among themselves. Because this man is from the northern zone, but he was born and grew up in the southern zone. He is even known as a Bakure man. Paul Biya decided to kill this man. So it should cause confusion. Because that is the main thing of Paul Biya's, the main strategy of Paul Biya for now. He wants to cause confusion in between the northern zone and southern zone. But we will tell him no. He can kill everybody, but we will never be confused. We will say no to division for the southern zones and the northern zones of Ambazonia. We are one. We are one. We are unity. We are indivisible. I will even show you some of his pictures. Here you can see the picture of a young man who has been killed. A young prosperous businessman. And other pictures. I show you other pictures. Miss Bright in. Excuse me for the video. That is the video. Okay, that was the cops when they were arranging to take the cops to the mortuary. Okay, from killing of the Miss Bright in, they move forward to another man of God. Now is the killing of the parish priest of Bomaka, Reverend Father Sop, the former education secretary of the Boria Diocese, has been shot in Moroka by the army of occupation of President Paul Biya. He was shot yesterday in Moroka. It should be noted that the Reverend Father Sop, a young, elegant and dynamic priest with every cheerful disposition, murdered in cold blood. This is now unbelievable. God forbid. For Sop Alexander was a student from Birokor. That is Bishop Rogan's college. He was a shining example of a true man of God. May his soul rest in perfect peace. And please, may you plead to the case of the Ambazonia before the throne of the Almighty God in heaven. Amen. Let me show you people the pictures of the pastor of Reverend Father Alexander Sop, who was shot yesterday in Moyoka. This is his picture, the picture of the Reverend Father. Who was shot yesterday. And this is the scene. He has been killed, shot and killed by La République du Cameroon. As I tell you people, La République is trying now to kill all the Reverend Fathers. He's now attacking the church, the priest. The Pope should say something. The Pope should say something, because La République is killing now the people of God. The world should stand up and say no to this. And say no to the evil forces of La République Cameroon. After killing a woman, carrying a child, with a woman, with his daughter, all shot in cold blood in the north of Cameroon. Now a father has been killed. Reverend Father has been killed yesterday in Moyoka. On Saturday, the Reverend Pastor was killed in Batibo. A foreigner, of course, from Ghana. Also, 2 days ago, Miss Bright-In was shot, among other killings. Please, the world should stand up and say something. Excuse me 1 minute. Please, let all men of God in the northern and the southern zone should stand empty-footed, wherever they may be. Speak to our soil and annoy it against any intended evil used on it, as the soil to react negatively against every evil intentions. Please, for the blood of Jesus Christ, be thrown over the soil, and the angels of God to defend the land and the soil. Anyone who comes from outside and in Ambazonia, who is in position of evil magic or cultism on the soil of southern Cameroons against the Ambazonians, should die, poison the air against the great master of the Freemason. Even though he's gone back, he should poison the air there, so that what he has taken from La République, and if at all from Ambas land, like the blood of the people, should be destroyed, so that I cannot do anything with it to affect our struggle. Let the ground rebel against the Freemason lodge in La République and in Delta, and all the occupying forces on the ground zero. I will see if I can put a small audio so that you hear the prayers, because prayers also count now. Self-defense prayers. Self-defense prayers. Excuse me for now, I cannot see the audio. Perhaps I'll put it later. I cannot get the audio for now. Perhaps I'll put it later. Okay, furthermore, we the Ambazonians, we are thanking the Family Care Without Borders Foundation, a Nigeria-based humanitarian aid foundation who had visited our refugees in Akwa Ibom and giving them humanitarian gifts. May God bless you people. Please listen to this alleged, because it was declared that the alleged was not welcoming. It was a lie. It was fake information. So people should not take it serious, please. It was alleged that for the past days since Tuesday, Atanganji Paul and Paul Gogomo has been at the Archbishop's of Baminda's house, bringing humanitarian bags of gifts. This was fake news. Nothing as such happened. Please stop trying to implement the church and the bishop. We know some of the people creating these situations are from La Republic camps. Since La Republic is trying to create problems to show the world that Ambazonians are attacking the church. La Republic is against the church because all the members in La Republic's government are in satanic societies. Now they are killing the clergymen of God. Like the shooting of Pastor Isaac Atto on Saturday in Batibo, in the northern zone of Amazonia, and yesterday, Friday, the killing of Reverend Father Sop Alexander in Moyoka. Okay, Ambazonians. As I will tell you people, I ever told you, you people should share and share and share, that I have a lot today to discuss. We continue. We must be in Boya within a short time. We must be in Boya within a short time. No matter what comes up or go down, we must be in Boya within a short time. There is no Satan or devil who can disrupt the independent struggle of God choosing people. It is written in the Bible. Not even the devil whom Paul Bear invited to carry out his satanic plans. That is the Prince of Delta, which the whole Ambazonians have taken a powerful will to pray, to cast down his amok powers or his Freemasonic powers. Paul Bear knew we have already destroyed the amok restitution powers in the Republic. That is why he has invited the great master of the Freemason. But we have also dealt with him also. Thanks to the prophets from Nigeria who joined the Ambazonians to cast down the powers of the great master of Freemasons, the Prince of Delta. Ambazonia must be free. Ambazonia must be free. Ambazonia is now since we have destroyed the power of the greatest master of the secret society with the power of God. There is no other power which can stand on the way of the Ambazonians. Ambazonia will be free because we have destroyed the greatest power of the secret society, which is the great master who visited the Republic. There is no other power which can come and infiltrate in Ambazonia and we go free because God is with us. You people should know that many people or countries which are donating monies to the Republic to fight Ambazonians automatically becomes our enemies. You people should know that any country or people who are donating money to support the Republic of Cameroon to fight against the Ambazonia is automatically our enemies. Hence, all the Bamlekes who donated monies, the ministers, the prime minister, the GOs, the mayors, the councillors, the senators, the funds, the chiefs, the elites, and all the businessmen in the Republic or in Ambazonia who donated monies and gave it to the Republic in pretext that they were giving for humanitarian aid. They are all our enemies because that money is not used for humanitarian aid. Only a small bit of it is used. The rest is for the war and to sponsor the elections. Every day, the list of our enemies are increasing. France, which is one of our greatest enemy, has now other countries which have joined France. Britain has also been our enemy and is still our enemy. There are also two other countries now who have become our enemies. That is Malta and China. Presently, as I'm saying, the Prince of Malta, who is the strongest Satan on earth, he was in Cameroon to carry out rituals with President Paul Biya to give him the powers to defeat us in the battle and to also stand again for elections and defeat everybody in the elections, to rig the elections. He did not just come for nothing. Paul Biya is really a devil. It's a ghost living with people. You have problem in your country. You are in war with another country. You cannot call for clergymen, big religious people to come and pray for peace. You call a Satan. You call a Satan the biggest man of all the devils, Satan, evil group, the secret society, to come and visit you and carry out rituals, to carry out the blood of people who have been killed. These devils, in the form of human beings, was invited to Cameroon by Paul Biya to carry out the blood of people to go and drink. All those people who have been killed by Paul Biya, Paul Biya has contributed the blood of these people in order to remain in power in the Republic of Cameroon. all those who had the train accident and all the transportation accidents that have been taking place in and out of the Republic of Cameroon, their blood will be gathered and also aim at getting the blood of all those who are killed in the course of the war, the genocide in Ambazonia. This blood will be gathered and given to the Grand Master to go with it. In a meeting in Yaoundé on Wednesday with the Grand Master, the Prince of Delta from Malta, he was requesting for the soil from Bello, Batibo, Boya, Victoria, and Bamenda, and the rest of the resistant, highly resistant areas in Ambazonia in the war. I am telling him that he can even come I am telling him that he coming to La Republique will all have an adverse effect on La Republique. Nothing will happen with the Ambazonians because Amba's land is blessed by God. Nothing will happen on the Ambazonians or Amba's land because the land is blessed by God. So let the great master of the Freemason here, if he takes anything and go to Delta in his country, he cannot do anything with it. Let him know that God is with us. God has blessed the land. God protects the land. God protects Amba's land. So he can never and ever do anything which will affect our land. Our ancestors are not sleeping. They are there to guide the land. The seas, the mountains. Let the Holy Ghost fire destroy the prince of Delta, the Satan, and Pobia, the blood drinker. Hence, Malta has added to our enemy country. When we have our total independence, we will never do any business with Malta. And any country which is satanic. Because they will only come to steal our resources. For example, you see, La Republique thought she could do business with France. But to their greatest dismay, France stole all the resources for 57 years. Because France is a satanic country. It's governed, ruled by Satan, that is satanic association, secret groups called Masonry. If you do business with a satanic country, you will become a slave to that country. You take a good example from France. All the countries in Africa, Francophone countries, who are doing business, they depended on France, they are blocked, exploited, end up being in war. That is it. So we should bear that in mind. Additionally, another enemy to us is China. The Chinese government has just donated 7.95 million pounds, million dollars, which is 6.86 million euros to Cameroon army to boost its peacekeeping and security operations. This money is given by China to help Pobia to buy arms and campaign for elections. These arms will be used to find the Ambazonians. It should be remembered that Paul Biya went to China to beg for monies, but he was refused because they were afraid that they were afraid that he will not stand again for presidential elections. So if they give him, as a result, if they give him monies, they might lose their monies. But now, as a result of his declaration to stand for elections, the Chinese know very well he will win, and has just donated 6.86 million euros to Paul Biya to stand for election and to fight the Ambazonians. Excuse me. The Chinese are hoping that Paul Biya will win the war against the Ambazonians, so that they will continue to take away the oil, petrol, gas, everything like that they have been taking, timber, everything. Excuse me. I would like to inform you, the Chinese people, and your president, that you are just wasting your money for a country which is collapsing. You are just wasting your money for a country which is already collapsing. First, to begin with, Ambazonia must be free, and the Republic will not have any oil or gas or timber, gold, etc. for you people to come and take away. This exploitation of Ambazonia resources has come to an end. Enough is enough. 57 years of exploitation, added to the burning of all the villages, about 100 villages, killing of Ambazonians, raping of their students, beating of their lawyers and teachers, adoption and extradition of our president Cisco Ayoktabe Julius and his government, and 37 others in prison in Yaoundé, causing genocide here and there, robbing female students in mosques. All this will soon be over, as self-determination forces will kill all the occupation forces in our land within a short time to come, thanks to the self-defense forces. Okay, I will put you a video. I will put you a video so that you can listen to a petition, a petition which was written and forwarded to the President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, by a philanthropist, Ambazonian philanthropist, Mr. David MAKONGO. David MAKONGO. That is the Ambazonian who forwarded a letter directly to Donald Trump, So I will try and see if I can put it on so you can listen to it. Because it's very important. What he said was important. That's why I decided I've decided to put it on.
Breaking news. Ambazonian philanthropist Dr. David MAKONGO writes to President Donald Trump. Special message to President Donald Trump, Ambazonia, the best outcome. Dear President Trump, following the devastation of human and economic life in British Southern Cameroons, Ambazonia, I respectfully request not only for America's support for an independent Ambazonia but also for a Trump plan to help rebuild its economy similar to the Marshall Plan, the European Recovery Program, after the second global confrontation. I mean after the congressional hearings on the Anglophone problem, the writing is clear on the wall regarding what transpired against the people of Ambazonia then and now. That is why I strongly recommend that our country's policy towards Ambazonia constitute a Trump plan, Ambazonia Recovery Program, aimed at rebuilding burnt-down villages and rebuilding the entire Ambazonia economy. Instead of encouraging conditions that only foster economic migration, this is an opportunity for America to give a chance for meaningful development of the bauxite, oil, gas, and gold fields of Fico, Andean, Menu and the gas and iron ore wealth of Nyos and Oko to be exploited not for the benefit of a selfish few but for the sustainable economic benefit of all the people of Ambazonia, who own this natural wealth. In my view, Mr. President, this is the only insurance for sustainable peace and security between La République du Cameroon and Ambazonia and around the Gulf of Guinea. It is on record, Mr. President, that America used more than $110 billion US dollars in 1916 to rebuild Europe. Only a one-fourth of this amount is needed to rebuild the Ambazonia economy destroyed and devastated by more than 60 years of brutal occupation and illegal exploitation of its wealth both on surface oil and offshore. Should the American people invest in Ambazonia, such investment will not be for free because Ambazonia has more than enough natural resources: oil, gas, bauxite, iron ore, manganese, gold, and also timber, coffee, cocoa, and palm trees, rubber and tea, to pay back any money loaned to them with full interest and without guarantee. The advantages of such a Trump plan, Mr. President, some of which we need mention include but are not limited to the creation of millions of direct and indirect jobs from mining and oil and gas projects that could easily be generated all over Ambazonia, given the presence of natural resources everywhere in the country. That would account for millions of graduates and quality professionals now aging fast without finding jobs to do. Act as an automatic check on the exodus of our youth population from Ambazonia to America in search of a better life, passing through dangerous nations like Libya. This would ease pressure on American borders. Give America a loyal and dependable friend along the strategic strides of the Gulf of Guinea for geopolitical calculations. In this dangerous world today, America needs only loyal friends, not opportunistic allies. Finally, Mr. President, as you are aware, the people of Ambazonia are fully committed to their freedom and independence. They know fully well also that peace knows no price. That is why they are ready to pay any price for their peaceful existence as a free economic and political independent nation just like other nations. This is also the best outcome. Breaking news. Ambazonian philanthropist Dr. David MAKONGO writes to President Donald Trump. Special message to President Donald Trump, Ambazonia, the best outcome.
Okay, that was the message that he writes. He have written to, Donald Trump. He has written to Donald Trump. That is a very, very important message to Donald Trump, telling him that he should create, a certain aid plan, just like the Marshall Aid Plan, to come and rebuild Ambazonia. Automatically, he is saying that they should grant Ambazonia independence. That Ambazonia can stand on its own, and then they come and sign contracts to build Ambazonia because we can pay not free of charge. We can pay back because we have enough resources that we can pay to sustain the economy. That we don't need anything that any person that will come and say he wants to do help us or nothing. No. Rather than coming to Europe suffering, we can stay back home and develop a land, develop a country. That was the message. So if everybody has the power of writing to Donald Trump, he can also write, because when we have more of these letters, he will strike something in Donald Trump's head and he can take an action. Please, Ambazonians, wake up. The independent is already closer to hand, so we should start working very hard to see how we have to work for the country. Okay, I continue. At one of my last videos, I told people how all the surrogates of President Paul Biya are all confused. His ministers, his DOs, governors, SDOs, you know, Prime Minister, every person is confused. Even Paul Biya himself is confused. Prime Minister, every person, Minister of Communication, everybody confused, at times confused. And now you will hear it from their mouth themselves, as one of the ministers wrote to Mr. John AKUROH. He said this letter that is sent to John AKUROH, he pleaded that John AKUROH should not bring out his identity. It should not make them know that he is the one who has written it. If not so, they are going to kill him. So there are so many things that he said in the letter. He said they are now between two wells. They are confused because they don't know where to go, because they cannot leave the government, because leave the government they will be killed. We are not blaming them. The government is also blaming them. They are confused. So there are so many things that he said, which I will just put, you know, I will put the video first, you listen to it, or the audio, then afterwards we'll talk about it. Because there are certain important things which he said, even like the distribution of, you know, of this bike that the Republic is sending out now. Those bikes have devices which can detect where people are and they send information direct to the forces. So don't think that they have come to give you bikes for free. No. Those bikes are well built up bikes. Let me even put the bike so you'll be seeing the bike, because in Manfe, precisely at Bacho Akagbe, this is it. They have already started dividing the bikes. In Manfe, in Bacho Akagbe, where the criminal, the blood drinker, the elite, Tabetando, comes from. He has gone and organized that and start from his village. They are giving the bike there so that they can be tracing where to take people and keep people. Because that bike, they are having informations. They are having devices that will relay informations to the police, the Janams, to trace where people are found, to trace what is going on, even the mattresses that they are giving and other things that are given. And he also pleads to us that we should be united, because they are now confused. If we are united and we have to win this war, they will join us, because now they cannot join us because they don't know what to do. They are confused. Because they join us, they are going to kill them. The government will kill them. So they are pleading that we should not give up the struggle. We should struggle and have independence. Because if we don't have independence, there are other things more dangerous that will happen, because it has been planned. The more dangerous thing that will happen, they will eliminate everybody in Amazonia. So the prime minister, is one of the ministers. I don't know which of the minister who wrote himself is begging that they are just confused. What they are doing is just because they have no choice. They must do it. They take by others, because even they themselves, you know, even the bodyguards, they're not free. The bodyguards are just like spies to them now. They take all informations that of everything they're doing and send it to their superior. So they control them, the ministers and the DOs and the SDO, everybody, the governors, all their bodyguards are now, you know, spies to them. He said in the days ahead, they will be struggling, you know, to carry out a process to divide, you know, southwest and northwest, so that southwest and northwest should not be united. They will carry a certain procedure. So when you see them coming on the field, neglect them. They will be doing as if they're doing their job, but you should neglect them. That is what he wrote. I'll put the video afterwards, you will hear. So these are important things from the mouth of the horses themselves, that the things that they are going to do. So he's just begging us to neglect everything they are doing. They will be doing it as if they're serious, but we are the point to neglect the things. All the machines, we should neglect them. That is what he said. Because they are having, you know, devices to detect where people are. That we should unite. We should do all the possible best. That even the parliamentarians don't have they are all under the government. They don't have any saying. They don't know what to say because they are dictated. They are being told what to do. The parliamentarians cannot even leave, because if you leave, they will chase you and kill you. So let me just put the video so that you can hear for yourself.
My dear people of Southern Cameroons, I come to you today, this 19th day of the month of July 2018, to bring to you all a correspondence. This is a rare occurrence since our struggle started. I'm bringing to you a letter. This letter is written to us, the people of Southern Cameroons, through me, by a member of government, current member of government in La République du Cameroon, serving Mr. Paul Biya's government right now. This member of government has pleaded that I should keep the name to myself for obvious reasons. And even the fact that what we need most importantly is the message I have committed to keeping the name to myself. Just as in many other circumstances, I committed and effectively did keep the names of all those who from within are struggling to help us, myself, to make sure that they are protected and to make sure that they continue to pour out their support to us. But this letter is so moving. And this letter is dated the 14th of July 2018. The letter was written by hand and transmitted to someone who had to travel with it to the United States. That's why I already received this letter late last night. And so I'm bringing it out to us today. And I'm noticing that this letter was written the same day that our ground forces are alleged to have issued an ultimatum for the members of parliament and of the Senate from Ambazonia, from Southern Cameroons, to resign latest the 21st of July. And today the 19th, we're just 2 days away. This letter addresses that issue and other issues. This member of government committed that I should deliver this letter to us word verbatim as it is. So for the first time ever since I started communicating with the people of Southern Cameroons using this forum, I'm actually going to be reading, because I want to make sure that not a single word is mine. At the end of this letter, I may have 1 or 2 comments to make, or I may decide, or I've never thought of it, I think that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a little sentence of the salient points in pidgin English, and that now will be my own translation, so that our people can understand the English language to get the importance in this message. This is how the letter goes. My dear son, John Ba AKUROH. I have decided this day to write to our people of southern Cameroon through you, because I know you have a big forum and a great following. We all follow you. I am writing because I want the people of former West Cameroon to have first-hand information on what is happening among us, the ministers, and other political elites of our two regions. Mr. AKUROH, a lot of people think we are so insensitive, that we don't have hearts or consciences, and that we are blind to what is happening to our people. Honestly, I want you to know that we are all aggrieved and completely frustrated and downcast at the horror being meted out on our people daily. Let me be honest to you, my dear friend and brother people. The massacre on the ground is worse than what you people are even able to show on social media. Our people are being killed in droves daily by an army we are supporting with hard-earned money we pay in taxes, and the worst days are still ahead. I know that a lot of you will find it difficult to believe me, but truly, my dear people, we're in a worse position than most of you. All eyes, ears, and whatever you can imagine are on us. Those uniformed people turning around us in the name of bodyguards are now more of informants. Their role is no longer really to protect us from harm. Today, their role is to report to their hierarchy who we see daily, who we talk to, who we call, what we talk about, where we go to, and in fact, every little detail about us. This is because as of now, they do not trust any one of us, but they absolutely need to have us around to tell the world that the people complaining are only a misguided few, many based out of the country. I know a lot of you would ask why we cannot just resign. You would also want to know why even those among us who are out of government cannot take a position on this crisis. I wish to let you know that the DIA system is deadlier than anyone can imagine. And once you have flirted with this system, they have a hold on you in many visible and invisible ways. We are all confounded. We are all confused and worried. And a lot of us may even commit suicide if this thing does not work. The blackmail on us is too much. The president believes we are not doing enough to help his government subdue the revolution, and at the same time, you, our people, see us as sellouts who are ready to sacrifice everyone for our selfish interests. Mr. AKUROH, I guess you understand that we too are losing family members to this revolt. We are losing property as well. Recall how the house of Minister Mengot was razed to ashes in his village. The home of the Prime Minister's in-law burnt down in Com and several other incidents. We cannot talk. We are not even allowed to show remorse. Showing sympathy towards anyone affected by any one of us is considered reasonable. During strategic planning meetings concerning the revolution, when they mind inviting us, our body languages are closely watched, and every word we utter is passed through the scanner in the hope that there is a real intended meaning. Sometimes, some of our colleagues in the cabinet have openly accused us of colluding with the armed groups on the ground. We have held meetings upon meetings among us very few. Those from the southwest and those from the northwest, and always they have spies in these meetings to report to them. All they want from us is to break the unity people enjoy now, because that seems to them the only way to break the fight. We have tried our best in vain. We have even hired boys to help set confusion, but always and too often along the line, they have ended up turning against us, and we have been forced by government to sacrifice some of them. You will wonder why I am taking your time with all this. Truth is, we have finally concluded that Anglophones in Cameroon will be in a worse situation if you people fail. Many of us are going to be killed one way or the other. but we are also now truly worried about the future of our homeland. I'm writing to you because I have known and watched you over the years right back home, trying to fight this system courageously and with a high sense of protection of your informants. It is possible this might be my first and last letter to you, but if you choose to betray my identity, then it is up to you. Of course, you know what will happen to me without any waste of time. I want you to pass this message out to our people. Tell them that we might seem insensitive, but we are with you all. We also know that the salvation of Anglophones in Cameroon lies in the way this revolution ends. Hear it from us. If you are defeated through arms, know that history will judge you so roughly that you would not have started this thing in the first place. I say so because the treatment that awaits us as a people, all of us, will simply be unimaginable. This will hold true for everyone, even those who oppose this revolution from day one. I want to plead on behalf of our people who are contributing money purportedly to help the displaced Anglophones in the various forests. Take note that we are not contributing because we like to. It is an obligation, and those who will not contribute are definitely going to be seen not only as disloyal, but as strong supporters of the armed groups. If you base your judgment on whose name is on that list to determine your enemies, know that even your fans and supporters will be killed unjustly. That contribution may have only a little fraction going to our people for the show. The bulk of that money is for another purpose, which I will not tell you for now. I want you to warn our people to be careful what they collect from government officers, some of us, and especially from the military people on the field. Anything that is not food has a tracking device on it, accompanied by a recording device to help record conversations and establish locations. The military will hand out bikes to the youth of some communities in the days ahead, claiming the bikes are meant to empower them economically after lots of theirs were burnt down. Anyone who uses those bikes must be a fool alive. Those bikes are meant to help expose as many as possible. They are fully equipped with tracking devices, voice recorders, and micro video cameras that will help provide information to the military on what is going on in those localities. This is the main reason I wrote this letter. Some of us have refused to sit back and watch such inhuman acts go on interminably. Your boys are destroying the military of this country so terribly, and we are here to understand how untrained young people can achieve this. It is a source of serious worries, and the figures are horrifying. The reason all means are now being deployed to contain you. We were all shocked when the Minister of Defense sent a request, which has already been approved by government, that 600 million CFA be disbursed for his department to organize funerals for hundreds of soldiers killed in our two regions. The list of names attached to that request is about 1,000 and counting. It is a humiliation to the state, and all is being done, including hiring foreign soldiers to save face. I know the decision disbursing this money may soon be on social media. It is horrible, my brother, and the future is uncertain. There is so much confusion around here now, since the president decided to run for another term in office. We were all hoping he would yield to international pressure and allow another person to step in. This would have allowed us the prospects that another deal would be offered to the Anglophones than we are, and we were going to use that as a bargaining chip. It has not worked, and now we are all helpless. We are in trouble, and we are now praying in all earnest that you succeed and liberate all of us from our impending doom. Mr. AKUROH, on a more serious note, some of us would perhaps be ready to hang the rope around our necks by outrightly helping you succeed. But we can only really take that risk if we see you all beginning to work very closely together. You must unite one way or the other to instill hope in us that we see the risk of coming out as worthy. The weeks ahead are going to be very complicated for you, and only unity of purpose and cooperation will help you out. The government will soon bring back home hundreds of snipers being trained abroad now to come in as civilians and cause more havoc so that the presidential election polls in the northwest and southwest region come rain, come shine. If you guys remain divided, you will crack. The parliamentarians and senators whom you people insist must resign are in a very bad situation. Let me reveal to you that more than half of them want this separation as badly as you do. But their problem is what will happen to them after they resign. I know you will say they were elected by the people, but Mr. AKUROH, you and I know that although elections were held, these people only represent the government in parliament. They do what we ask them to do. I am sure you know that even parliamentarians of the opposition are not free to resign. If they do, the military will define them as terrorists and go after them. We are all in hell already. We are in hell, my brother. Our prayer is only that those of them who will be courageous enough to resign should run to foreign diplomatic missions for protection. Else, we will see worse than has already happened. And our sons and daughters who are in the military of the Republic of Cameroon, I say so because that is the language that you people use. A lot of them are going to be killed. The Minister of Defense Forces, and he is very convinced that a good lot of them sell information to the fighters in the bushes when they plan to attack. The reason why a good lot of the time they have been ambushed and killed in very good numbers. For that reason, the minister believes it will be difficult to work with them. So, your guess is as good as mine what is going to happen to a good lot of them in the days ahead. I don't know what to advise them, but they best know how to defend themselves. Finally, let me say this again. We are going to be forced to sponsor so much tribal talk. Bayangis versus Bakossis, Orokos versus Bakweri, Meta versus Nsop, and so on and so forth. And in the end, it will boil down to northwest, southwest trouble. If you fall in the trap, we all fail. If you are wise, ignore us. The president will soon make some highly divisive appointments to break you people. But you must unite and resist this. This is all I have to say. If I ever get another opportunity, I shall not fail to help. If not, you people should hold on to what I have already said. I only pray this letter reaches you because of the things I have noted that happened. Courage, my brother. Courage, my son. Courage, our people. That is the substance of the letter I received last night. A member of the government of Mr. Paul Biya, who is of Southern Cameroon's Ambazonian descent. Now make a talk just...
Okay, that was the letter, a very strong letter from one of the ministers, Ambazonian born minister who is in the government of the Republic of Cameroon under Paul Biya, who is working as a slave under Paul Biya. He has said everything. It's left to us now to carry out the information he has given us and to know what they are passing through. As I earlier told you in one of my videos, that these people are confused. So when they are confused, we have to unite and we'll become stronger and they will be more confused. That is why they are trying to bring out division between the northern zone and the southern zone of Ambazonia. So we should try to avoid anything that will cause us to be divided. Because we've heard from the video, the minister himself is begging us that even if they come out to convince us, let's not take it serious. Let us know that they are just doing their own job. They are forced to do it. That even the armies are in danger. Even the parliamentarians are in danger. The bikes that have been sent, they are all, programmed with devices that can trace where people are found, so they come and cause massacre. So that genocide will continue. So they can trace where the boys are in the forest. All what you are saying, the armies will get access to it through the bikes. So people avoid these bicycles, these motorbikes, these, what they call it, Okada. When in history has the government given bikes to people? For over 30 years, over 57 years, they have never given anything to the population. Why should only come now? When there is war, that is when they come to give things. I've not seen a country that declare war on people, then they come out here and start giving things to the people that they have declared war on, and people are receiving. The foolish man Tabetando has decided that his village people should collect it. But if they collect it, people should not climb on the bike. Leave them to die with the bike. Don't climb on the bikes. Leave them to die with the bike. Those people, Tabetando's people will die there in Bachuakawe. Yes. Please ignore anything concerning the Republic of Cameroon. Ignore, and we will win the war. We'll win. We'll become independent, and we'll be very okay. I will not have much to say, but the video speaks for itself. So you should take all the information that has been passed through the video. Take it serious, please. Unity, unity, unity. Even the people are telling us to be united. So I'm begging for unity. Okay, I end so far. God bless all the Ambazonians. Bless all those in the hospital. Bless the refugees, those in the hidings, in the forest. Bless all those who are sick in the hospital. We will stand firm. Long live the struggle. Short live the war. Thanks.